start the video, I must give you this disclaimer. This script was written a year ago in June 2025. My opinions have changed since then, but I have decided to keep the script for my own sake and because I don't have this computer anymore, so if I change the script, it wouldn't really make that much sense. So enjoy this video from June 2025 that I never got around to making until now. I still have old footage from June 2025 and that's what we will be using for this video. So yeah. On December 19th, 2024, I bought the Dell Inspiron 3535, and one day later, I recorded my unboxing video on it. Now, 6 months later, after countless people have asked for review videos, and since this laptop is coming to an end soon, I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, I decided to make this review video showcasing the laptop. So let's get started. I'm 7Zeb, and this is the Dell Inspiron 3535 review 6 months later. Editor's note, or not really editor's note, it's actually been 1.5 years, so yeah, I probably should have said 1.5 years, so anyways, let's continue. Let's start with the specs of the machine, as they have changed a bit since I bought the laptop. The specs are an AMD Ryzen 7 7730U with 8 cores and 16 threads, 16 gigs of RAM, which of me writing the script has been upgraded to 32 gigabytes. It's DDR4 obviously. It comes with a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, sadly without DRAM, integrated graphics, which could be a deal breaker for you, and it's shipped with Windows 11 24H2 Home Edition plus Dell bloatware. So many of you have asked if this laptop is good for gaming, and it depends on what type of gamer you are. Personally, I'm not really a heavy gamer. The only games I play are Cities Skylines, Minecraft, and a bit of Fortnite, even though Fortnite is basically dead now. Anyways, in these cases, the average FPS for Cities Skylines is about 60 to 75 FPS, and in Fortnite on lowest settings, I'm able to get about 120 FPS, but on higher settings, I'm only about to get 30 and 60 FPS. However, it is very unstable and can dip when shooting or other intensive motions occur. Something else I want to mention here is screen tearing. The amount of times it's happened is unacceptable. I mean, at $600, I got it for $450 due to December discounts at Costco, there shouldn't be screen tearing. In fact, it's currently happening while I'm typing the script, not to mention in-game. In fact, it makes games unplayable without a monitor. This may just be an issue with my unit, but still, this shouldn't be happening. Next, let's move on to the thing I bought this laptop for, virtual machines and video editing. Since this laptop has 8 cores, it was an upgrade from my last laptop which had a Ryzen 7 3700U with 4 cores. This means I can have a Windows 11 VM with 4 cores, which is the ideal amount of cores for Windows 11. Now recently this laptop has been lagging a lot in VMs, with the mouse cursor just being slow and my entire laptop just coming to a crawl. The next thing I want to talk about is video editing. Back when I used to use Clipchamp, the editing was very slow. However, after I switched to DaVinci Resolve, the editing got a lot smoother. The thing is, the screen tearing makes things a lot harder, and I've only edited a couple of videos using Resolve on this PC because this video has been edited on a different computer, specifically the Space Heater, also known as the Dell Precision 5560, which I will do a review on later if you want to check that out. Now, let's talk about the Dell bloatware. This laptop originally shipped with Windows 11, and bloatware, the bloatware made the internet very slow. However, after formatting the laptop and reinstalling Windows 11 on it, it has gotten a lot faster. And if you're buying this laptop, I recommend you upgrade the RAM to 32 gigabytes and reset it to Windows 11. Now you might be asking, how will the Dell bloatware make your internet slow? Well, the original Dell configuration apparently turned off 5 GHz from the Wi-Fi adapter, and I was only able to get the 5 GHz range after resetting my laptop. I can't tell if this is Dell bloatware or just some Dell setting that they enabled by default, but nevertheless, I had to format the computer. Now let's move on to something I should have mentioned earlier, the ports on the laptop. So let's get into that right now. Let's start on to the left side, where we have a power port, which is a barrel jack, HDMI right next to it. Then on the right of that, we have a USB-A, which is a USB 3.1 port, and then we got USB-C. I don't know which one it is specifically, but it's cool that it does have at least one USB-A. On the right side, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is surprising because I don't think Dell would put that on this laptop. On the left, we have another USB-A, which is also 3.1 port, which brings us to 2 USB ports. And on the left, we also have an SD card slot, which is good if you have a camera and you want to transfer over videos and photos. However, I don't use it as much because I use my phone to record and I use Google Photos to upload and download video files. Now let's get into recording. As a YouTuber, it is a very important part of the process. Now, when I'm recording virtual machines, the computer gets a bit slow, but the recordings don't take that much space. However, when I'm recording any game, for example Minecraft, which I record a lot to start videos to put in these videos, in fact, it's playing right now, it takes up a lot of storage. Like 3 minutes of Minecraft footage almost takes up 3 gigabytes somehow. And my computer only has 512 gigabytes for the SSD. It's just not enough. In fact, currently as of me writing this script, I only have about 48.2 gigabytes left out of the 512 gigabytes. And this mention of storage brings me to the next concern of this laptop, which is the SSD. Since it's an SSD without a DRAM cache, its performance is a lot slower than SSDs that have DRAM. In fact, while one chunk of my Windows 10 upgrade saga was rendering, the SSD usage was at 100% for the entire time. The CPU and GPU usage were also very high, which means this laptop isn't really cut out to do what I want it to do. So after all of that, what is my opinion on this laptop? Well, if you're doing basic web browsing like checking your email, watching YouTube and more, I think this laptop is a bit overkill for you. However, if you're using PowerPoint, Microsoft Office, and some basic audio editing, and some basic video editing, and maybe even some basic photo editing, this laptop is perfect for you. If you're looking for a laptop to use in gaming sessions or edit large videos that come out to be 43 gigabytes, or want to use this as your content creation device, I have some recommendations for you. First, you should upgrade the RAM to 32 gigabytes like I did. Then you should do a fresh install of Windows, or you could just upgrade to a 1TB NVMe SSD which has DRAM cache, which will speed it up a lot. Overall, at $600, it's not worth it. You're only getting 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and a 512 gigabyte SSD without a DRAM cache. If you're going to do anything high powered with this laptop, you're going to have to upgrade it or just not buy it at all. In fact, the only reason why I bought this laptop is because my Lenovo was getting very slow and I just needed something new. But now I'm going to be not using this laptop and I'm going to be telling you why. So basically, I'm going to have to change this because this never really happened. I was going to build a desktop PC, but I didn't exactly do that. So, well, yeah. I didn't exactly build a desktop PC, and in fact, I got the Space Heater, which has an Intel Core i7-1185. I don't know. I forgot the CPU already. Anyways, that's the end of my review. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and, you know, like other stuff. I ran out of stock footage in the way, so stuff. So, well, yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next video.